Under Singapore law, the death sentence is mandatory for anyone over 18 convicted of trafficking in more than 15 grams of heroin, 30 grams of morphine, or 500 grams of cannabis. Prisoners have an automatic right of appeal to the appeal court, and if that fails, may petition the President for mercy. However, death sentences are virtually always carried out. Only one case where a reprieve was granted, to a Burmese man who was completely illiterate and clearly had no idea that he was committing a crime. Capital punishment in Singapore is a legal penalty. Executions in Singapore are carried out by long drop hanging, and usually take place at dawn. 33 offenses including murder, drug trafficking, terrorism, use of firearms and kidnapping warrant the death penalty under Singaporean law. Section 316 of the Criminal Procedure Code states that the death penalty in Singapore is to be conducted by hanging. Judicial hangings always take place shortly before dawn on a Friday and are conducted by the long drop method. The Singapore government has affirmed its choice of execution by hanging in favor of other methods. It is a normal practice for everyone present in the courtroom to stand and remain silent before the death sentence is passed. The judge will then proceed to announce the death sentence on the accused, who has been found guilty and convicted of the capital offense. The condemned will be given notice at least 4 days before execution. In the case of foreigners sentenced to death, their families and diplomatic missions or embassies will be given 1 to 2 weeks' notice. A 25-year-old female Macau national, executed in Singapore for drug trafficking. Angel Ma Pui-ping. Born the 9th of July 1969, in Portuguese Macau. Macau was a Portuguese colony since the establishment of the first official Portuguese settlement of Macau in 1557 to its handover to China in 1999. It comprised the municipality of Macau and the municipality of Ilhas. Macau was both the first and last European holding in China. Angel Ma Pui-ping, recruited to work as a courier for a Hong Kong-based drug trafficking organization. Mao was arrested while in possession of over 5 kilograms of high-quality heroin during a stopover in Singapore's Changi Airport. Angel was arrested at Singapore's Changi Airport on August 29, 1991, after arriving from Bangkok, with a suitcase containing 20 packets totaling over 4.1 kilograms of heroin. During the summer of 1991, Angel Ma asked her younger sister Mai if she would be willing to carry something from Thailand to Taiwan, hidden inside a pair of platform shoes. After she agreed, on the 24th of July 1991 they went to the Garden restaurant in Sham Shui Po, where they met 2 men, Ahung and Peter, and they received Hong Kong dollar 10,000 each in advance of their Hong Kong dollar 50,000 fee for the trip. Thinking that prayers might save her, before she left Hong Kong, Mao asked her mother to pray to protect her Buddhist deities to rid her of bad luck for her first trip abroad. After arriving in Bangkok on the 24th of August 1991, Mao and her sister met Ahung, who treated them to a few days of sightseeing and shopping. He then told them there was a change of plan. Instead of high-heeled shoes they would be given bags to carry, and that instead of Taiwan they would be going to Singapore and then to Europe to deliver the goods. Mai later said she thought they would be carrying contraband Rolex wristwatches to Amsterdam. That night, the sisters were split up and moved into different hotels, and the next day Mao was sent on a flight to Singapore. At around midday on the 29th of August 1991, Angel Ma Pui-ping arrived at Changi Airport to catch an onward flight to Zurich. Her strange behavior drew the scrutiny of Customs Officer Suryati Mohammed, who was standing less than 20 meters away from Angel Ma Pui-ping. The strange behaviors continues. On the west wing of Terminal 1, Mou picked up her duffel bag, but then hesitated and dropped it, allowing the bag to go around another time before picking it up. Angel Ma Pui-ping was also seen to be taking quick glances at the security arrangements of the different exits. A customs officer silently indicated to her colleague that Angel Ma Pui-ping had caught her attention. Another customs officer also recognized Mou's bag as a similar type to what other drug smugglers were carrying when they were caught. Angel Ma Pui-peng's bag was emptied of all its contents and placed on a weighing scale, which showed an unusually heavy weight of 7 kilograms after cutting through the bag's false bottom. The officers discovered 20 blocks of heroin, weighing approximately a total of 5.5 kilograms, with an estimated street value of $5 million. Angel Ma Pui-ping was arrested and read her rights. On the 30th of August 1991, Mou was charged with the importation of the heroin discovered in her bag and then remanded in custody. On the 2nd of March 1993, Angel Ma Pui-peng's trial began. Mou testified in her defense that she was a part-time prostitute who was being paid $1,000 per day for a long weekend in Bangkok, after which she was instructed by her pimp, a man named Hung, to visit Singapore to service a client. On the 11th of March 1993, Mou was found guilty as charged and sentenced to death for importing 4 kilograms of pure heroin into Singapore, contrary to Section 7 of the Misuse of Drugs Act. The Misuse of Drugs Act 1973 is a statute of the Parliament of Singapore that enables authorities to prosecute offenders for crimes involving illegal drugs. The law is designed specifically to grant the Government of Singapore, through its agencies such as the Central Narcotics Bureau, enforcement powers to combat offenses such as the trafficking, importation or exportation, possession, and consumption of controlled drugs. On the 11th of July 1994, Mou's appeal against her death sentence was rejected by Singapore's Court of Criminal Appeal. The court therefore dismissed all defense arguments of appeal and upheld the original judgment and death sentence. In early December 1994, after a final plea for clemency was rejected by President of Singapore Ong Teng Cheong, and having exhausted all legal processes for appeal, a death warrant was finalized and sent to Angel Mou's family in Hong Kong. They were notified via telegram from the superintendent of Changi Prison that the execution would take place a week later on the 23rd of December 1994. On the eve of her execution, she was normal and calm, she was emotionally stable and prepared to die. Spiritually she was very strong. Angel was comforted by the settlement of guardianship for her son. The day before her execution, she was weighed by Singapore's executioner, Darshan Singh, to enable calculation of the correct drop. The British Home Office 1913 table of drops is still used. Unusually, Angel was executed on her own, due to the stay. At about 5:30 a.m., she was escorted by her guards to a waiting room to be prepared. Shortly before 6 a.m. her hands were handcuffed behind her back and a black cloth hood placed over her head. She was led the few meters to the gallows at 6 a.m. local time. Her legs were strapped together and the leather-covered noose placed round her neck. Singh, the executioner, then told her, "I am going to send you to a better place than this. God bless you." After execution, the body was returned to relatives and she was cremated in the early evening at Mount Vernon Crematorium after a short service attended by her family and friends. Angel's sister, Cecilia, and a few others watched the coffin, covered in black velvet, disappear into the furnace. Angel Ma Pui-ping was 25 years old at the time of her execution. Thank you for watching Death Row.